Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
Tonight, strong opinions regarding New York Governor Hochul's decision to extend the COVID-related state of emergency. This as COVID cases decline, and the governor also just lifted the mask requirement for most indoor places. Big Fox's Matt Kleindienst reports.
Good evening, Ann. New York's COVID state of emergency will remain in place until at least March 16th, and many politicians and residents are chiming in and voicing their frustration as COVID cases continue to decrease. As the state's COVID emergency was set to expire on Tuesday, Governor Hochul signed an executive order extending the state's emergency for another month. Reactions to the move were swift, as many Republican lawmakers took to Twitter to voice their frustration. Local residents also chimed in online with the announcement, with one resident calling the announcement pathetic, while another called it BS. Amid the backdrop of the extension, New York's COVID case count has decreased by 97% since January 7th. The COVID hospitalization rate has also seen a significant decrease, leading some lawmakers to call the state of emergency unnecessary. Despite the controversy of the extension, Steuben County Health Director Darlene Smith says the latest COVID trends should give people hope.
We're very pleased with the trend that we're seeing in all of our data. It's all a very good sign.
Matt Kleindienst, Big Fox, WYDC in Corning.
A connector road project along Route 13 in Horseheads is set to begin next month. The aim is to give tractor trailers easier access to the industrial park in Horseheads. Diagrams from the Chemung County Department of Public Works indicate the new road will have 2 roundabouts installed along Old Ithaca Road and Route 13. The project is expected to be completed by 2023. A Corning woman is in custody tonight after allegedly threatening her neighbor with a machete. 43-year-old Linda Farrell was arrested after police were called for a reported disturbance at Stewart Park Apartments on Tuesday. Police say Farrell made verbal threats while wielding a machete at the person who made the complaint. She was charged with third-degree criminal possession of a weapon and second-degree menacing. A man behind bars after Elmira police say they found a gun during a traffic stop. Joseph Hess was arrested Tuesday near Park Place near West 5th Street in Elmira. During the stop, investigators say they learned Hess had an active warrant for burglary out of Big Flats and was taken into custody. Officials say they also found Hess had a pistol. Hess has been charged with criminal possession of a weapon in the second degree. A tanker truck hauling gasoline crashes into a building in Rockville Center, New York, setting off a massive explosion and fire. It happened just after 1 a.m. today, with both fire and fuel spreading from the crash scene.
So far what we have from what we've gathered from witnesses is that when the truck did flip over, initially there wasn't a fire. The driver was able to self-extricate. He was rescued and pulled away from the scene by Rockville Center first arriving police officers. As the fire chief had mentioned, when the Rockville Center Fire Department arrived on scene, the fire had initiated, starting in the old Lazy Boy store and spreading to the liquor store and other areas around it.
The Coast Guard will assess any possible environmental threats to nearby waterways from the fuel spill. The driver is okay, and no other injuries have been reported. Dash cam footage captures a scary close call for 2 police officers in Pennsylvania. A tire detached from a pickup truck and slammed into the windshield of a police car. The dash cam was recording during the entire incident, showing a tire rolling down the road, smashing directly into the cruiser's window and shattering the windshield glass upon impact. According to the Spring Township Police Department, the cruiser suffered extensive damage, but both officers inside the vehicle were not injured. The driver of the truck also escaped the incident unharmed. Russia says it's beginning to draw back some troops from near the Ukrainian border, giving hope that there could be an easing of tensions in Eastern Europe. But there is skepticism over whether Russia is actually doing what it's saying. Lauren Blanchard has more from Washington.
We have not seen any de-escalation on the ground. On the contrary, it appears that Russia continues the military build-up.
Russian President Vladimir Putin says he's drawing back some of the 150,000 troops built up on 3 sides of Ukraine, but neither the U.S. nor NATO allies can find evidence he's doing so. Despite this, Russian video supposedly showing units packing up.
We have not yet verified the Russian military units are returning to their home bases. Indeed, our analysts indicate that they remain very much in a threatening position.
The U.S. has threatened Russia with crippling sanctions.
We are very tired of these threats that are repeated daily like a mantra.
Moscow wants assurances Ukraine cannot join NATO and denies it was ever planning to invade, calling it Western hysteria.
I wouldn't say it amuses us, but it profoundly puzzles us. The West feels entitled to dictate how we should behave, whatever we do on our territory.
Analysts say even if there is no invasion this week, it's still possible in the future.
I say at one point in time he does invade.
In Kiev, Ukrainians celebrating a day of national unity after President Volodymyr Zelensky declared the day a holiday.
We show that we in unity and solidarity.
There is concern Russia could retaliate against U.S.-imposed sanctions through cyber warfare. President Biden warned Americans energy prices could go up if war breaks out overseas. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
Federal police are moving in as truckers continue to protest in Canada's capital. Alexis McAdams has more.
Truckers in downtown Ottawa remain defiant, saying they won't leave until COVID restrictions are lifted across the country.
They can play all the games that they want. We're not leaving.
Police say less than 400 trucks are now parked near Parliament. That's down from a high of about 4,000. On Tuesday, Ottawa's police chief resigned following criticism about his handling of the protests. The former chief releasing this statement saying in part, "Since the onset of the demonstrations, I've done everything possible to keep the city safe and put an end to this unprecedented and unforeseeable crisis." A command center has now been set up for federal police. City officials say they'll make all resources available to restore order.
The police now have every single tool they need. They have every resource available to them.
Other blockades at the Canadian-U.S. border now standing down. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau invoking the Emergencies Act this week, allowing the government to ban blockades and tow trucks.
The scope of these measures will be time-limited, geographically targeted, as well as reasonable and proportionate to the threat.
Meanwhile, other countries continue to brace for similar protests. The White House says it's constantly evaluating potential security impacts.
The Super Bowl did move forward, and there was no halting of that, so that is a positive development as well.
The Emergencies Act will be in effect for a month. In Ottawa, Alexis McAdams, Fox News.
Still ahead tonight, inflation, rising costs, and labor shortages making it hard for small businesses across America to stay afloat.
That cost goes up. The buying public will only pay so much for their goods and services.
See how one North Carolina furniture store is dealing with rising costs and how it's affecting their customers.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
All right, thanks again for checking in as we take a look at your local forecast. And looks pretty unsettled here through the end of the week. Areas of heavy rain developing Thursday, eventually changing over to some snow as we head into Friday. But because of that, flood watches have been posted, and we'll have more on that in a second. But very mild start to the day tomorrow, 37 degrees. That is 20 degrees above our typical average overnight low in mid-February. We're going to wake up to a sunrise at 6:59, and then that daytime high tomorrow at 54. Also nearly 20 degrees above average. The fly in the ointment tomorrow, of course, is rain along with some wind. Winds could be gusting up close to 25, maybe even 30 miles per hour. We'll go back to the headlines here, of course. Warm and windy into our Thursday as the rain develops. Again, we have that flood watch from Thursday morning into Friday evening with up to an inch of rain or more, especially to the north and west. The rain does taper just a little bit south and east of us, maybe half an inch or more as you get into northern parts of Pennsylvania. But then snow likely on Friday and Saturday with some minor accumulations. So again, looking at this flood watch, and everything shaded in green does include Corning and Elmira. Places up to the north have a better chance of maybe some 1 to 2 inch total liquid amounts, and also seeing some wintry precipitation in those particular areas. So overnight tonight, we'll have cloudy skies, a little bit of rain developing, but certainly into the afternoon of Thursday. Definitely a soggy second half of Thursday with that changeover to a little bit of a wintry mix Thursday night, early Friday morning, and even some minor snow accumulations. Now, some icing could be possible in a few spots during that Thursday night, early Friday morning time frame as well. So Friday could see some icy roadways. There's the total amount of liquid. Again, some slightly lower tallies to the south, certainly into northern parts of Pennsylvania. But as you head to the west and to the north, we are looking at some 1+ inch total liquid amounts. Again, on the backside of this, Thursday night into Friday, we'll start to see that change over to some light freezing rain, some sleet, and some snow. And through, again, the end of the week, we could be looking at some minor snow coatings. Now 39 degrees overnight tonight, so a mild start to the day. Winds will be increasing out of the south with those 25 to maybe even 30-mile-per-hour winds. Again, off and on showers really starting to kind of ramp up during the second half of the day, and then that's when we'll have the potential of some flooding along rivers, streams, creeks, and also some low-lying areas. There's a look at your daytime highs with some windy conditions. Heading into Friday, we'll definitely start to cool down. Daytime high of 29 in Corning and Elmira with some snow showers, and again, maybe adding up to some minor coatings. 29 degrees for that high, 14 when you wake up on Saturday. Could see some additional light snow during the day Saturday, but definitely warmer on Sunday as we get back into the mid-40s.
Small businesses are feeling the financial crunch as inflation rates surge to record highs. One furniture maker says manufacturing costs are much higher than they were a year ago. Austin Westfall has more.
It's hard for businesses like Carolina Custom Leather to adapt because they say that all the materials that they build with have gone up in price by a lot. And that means that consumers are likely going to be paying more.
Probably looking at cushion going up about 70%.
Depending on the business, supply chain issues, shipping delays, and hiring shortages have made the pandemic feel like a roller coaster. And the ride isn't over yet. Carolina Custom Leather says one of its biggest challenges right now is inflation.
Hypothetically, if I made $400 or $500 on a sofa, now I might, if I make any money on it, I might make $100 on it.
The Consumer Price Index, which is the annual measure of change in prices paid by consumers, rose 7.5% over the past year, according to the U.S. Labor Department. That's the fastest increase in 4 decades. The National Association of Business Owners and Entrepreneurs says that's putting small businesses in a tight spot.
That cost goes up. The buying public will only pay so much for their goods and services.
Many furniture makers are still catching up after seeing the huge spike in business as more people stayed home during the pandemic. It used to take about 6 to 8 weeks for a customer to receive an order.
Now we're looking at a probably average of around 30 weeks.
It's crazy. This whole industry is booming right now.
And that boom is causing more problems because many customers bought couches a while ago at pre-inflation prices, but companies now have to build them at post-inflation costs. Carolina Custom Leather is honoring those older prices, but they said you should expect to pay a little more the next time you buy furniture.
You're probably going to end up spending probably about 15% more.
Although inflation is top of mind here at Carolina Custom Leather, hiring more workers is as well. They say that if they could, they would hire 15 people on the spot tomorrow.
Poultry farmers are being warned of a potential disease outbreak. A commercial turkey farm in Indiana and a commercial chicken farm in Kentucky have both found cases of bird flu among their flocks. Farmers nationally are on high alert and hope to prevent an outbreak similar to one in 2015 that killed 50 million birds in farms across 15 states. Economists warn prices of chicken, turkeys, and eggs could rise if the flu spreads too quickly and enough birds are infected. As of today, no human cases of bird flu have been detected in the U.S. Nearly a decade after the Sandy Hook massacre, gun manufacturer Remington agreed to a landmark settlement in a lawsuit that alleged it used aggressive marketing tactics to sell guns. Laura Engel has more.
A landmark settlement Tuesday for families devastated by the Sandy Hook shooting. Gun manufacturer Remington agreeing to pay $73 million to the families of 9 victims killed in the attack.
This case was never about damages in the sense of compensation. It was about damages in the sense of forcing change. These families, they would pay everything, they'd give it all back just for 1 minute. That would be true justice.
Though not an admission of guilt, the settlement marks the first time a gunmaker has been held responsible for a mass shooting. The Sandy Hook shooter was armed with a Remington Bushmaster AR-15 semi-automatic rifle when he stormed through the doors of the Connecticut Elementary School in 2012, killing 20 students and 6 teachers. A 2005 federal law had shielded manufacturers from accountability for their firearms being used in shootings. But the Connecticut Supreme Court ruled Remington could be sued over how it marketed its rifles to young men.
Look at the messaging. Clear the room, cover the rooftop, rescue the hostage. Do I even need to put out the man card that is conferred?
The thousands of internal documents obtained in discovery for this case paint a picture of a company that lost its way, choosing more aggressive marketing campaigns for profit with no thought to the impact on their intended target user.
And legal experts say the case could now be used as a roadmap by the families of other victims of mass shootings who are seeking justice. In New York, Laura Ingle.
With gas prices reaching record highs, if you're looking to improve your fuel economy and save some money, we have some tips for you. According to the U.S. Department of Energy, regular gas-powered cars' gas mileage is 15% lower when it's 20 degrees compared to warmer weather and can drop more during shorter trips. The DOE recommends parking your car in warmer spots to increase your vehicle's internal temperature. Experts say warming up your vehicle before driving wastes gas too. If you're idling, your car is getting 0 miles to the gallon. U.S. highway safety regulators approved new high-tech headlights in an effort to improve traffic safety. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration issued a final regulation allowing the adaptive driving beam headlights on new vehicles. The lights can automatically tailor beams so they can focus on dark areas of the road. They can also reduce intensity instead of creating the glare for oncoming drivers. Regulators hope the move will reduce rising traffic deaths nationwide. The new regulations for traffic lights are expected to go into effect in the next few days. Alec Baldwin is facing another lawsuit in connection to the deadly shooting on the set of his movie Rust. Marianne Rafferty has more on what makes this one unique.
Legal troubles intensifying for Alec Baldwin and other Rust movie officials. The husband and 9-year-old son of slain cinematographer Halyna Hutchins filing a wrongful death suit Tuesday, alleging reckless behavior and a lack of safety measures on the set of the Western film where Hutchins lost her life back in October.
Alec had the gun in his hand. He shot it. Halyna was killed.
Attorneys representing Hutchins' family also releasing new animated footage depicting how the shooting incident may have looked. Baldwin was rehearsing a scene where he needed to draw a pistol from his holster and says he was told the gun was safe to use. Baldwin maintains he never pulled the trigger, but during the maneuver, the gun went off, killing Hutchins and injuring director Joel Sousa.
The gun cannot fire unless the trigger is engaged and the hammer is back. So he had the gun. He says he pulled the hammer back. It fired. She was killed.
At least 3 other lawsuits have been filed in the wake of the shooting, but this is the first by parties related to one of the gunshot victims.
It is a young boy who will never have a mother, and it's a man who lost his wife.
The lawsuit was filed in New Mexico, where the movie was being filmed. Attorneys say they expect to go to trial within 1.5 to 2 years.
Turns out your Valentine's Day chocolate is good for you after all. Experts now say chocolate is good for both your emotional and physical health. One professor from the University of Alabama reminds snackers that chocolate, at its purest form, comes from a tree, so there will be health benefits. Some of these include antioxidants, such as flavanols, helping to lower blood pressure or the risk of stroke. Chocolate also contains chemicals linked to increased happiness and an overall better mood. Isn't that the truth? But experts stress that chocolate, just like anything else, is best in moderation. We want to leave you with a smile tonight. A female humpback whale is safe after being freed from marine debris in Hawaii. The whale, along with a male and a calf, got tangled in more than 500 feet of line off the coast of Maui. The line tightly wrapped around its head. Well, 2 members of a trained response team used blades to cut the animal free. The 3 whales swam off once the rescue was finished. From our whole team, thank you for joining us. We hope you have a great night.